Most of us carry stories with us that we've learned from our favorite cartoons. But if you look deeper at the films and TV shows you've seen over and over, you might find stories, subplots, alternative plots, and images you've never noticed before. In this video, we'll point out many fan theories that may just change your opinion of your favorite childhood heroes. Don't let missing out on a new video from the Hub ruin anything for you. Click subscribe to keep having your mind blown by incredible facts. Pinky and the Brain. This 90s cartoon is classic and beloved by millennials. The show features two genetically enhanced lab mice who are property of Acme Lab. As the theme song says, one is a genius and the other is insane, but it doesn't specify which is which. Many assume the big-headed character known as the Brain is the genius due to his pretentious monologues and constant scheming, inventing complex and often ludicrous plots for global domination. Pinky, on the other hand, is affable, quirky, and often seems feeble-minded. Many fans have theorized that Pinky is actually the genius and Brain is unhinged. Apart from the vague lyrics in the opening theme, there are also many factors that fans point to as proof of this reversal of the commonly accepted roles. In one episode, Pinky is literate, whereas Brain can barely write his own name. In that same episode, Brain is on a game show and can't answer a question that Pinky can. In many episodes, Pinky has common sense or surprisingly clever input, while Brain is making plans for world domination, which Brain always ignores to the plan's demise. Perhaps the most damning evidence is that in one episode, Brain does a series of calculations to determine what causes so many of his plans to fail. He initially finds Pinky as the cause, and he goes on to create a machine to turn Pinky into a genius. There seems to be no observable change in Pinky's behavior or personality, but he does point out to Brain a mistake in his calculations, and proves to him that he's the cause of his own failures. It's difficult to disprove this fan theory, as evidence abounds to support it. SpongeBob SquarePants. You'd be hard-pressed to meet someone who doesn't know who lives in a pineapple under the sea. But how many realize that each of the main characters represent one of the 7 deadly sins? The theory may sound far-fetched, but the facts are there to back it up. The lovable but loafing Patrick represents sloth. Patrick is always found lying underneath his rock and even won an award for doing nothing. Squidward is an extremely hateful and angry character, making it easy to see why he represents wrath. SpongeBob's employer, Mr. Krabs, cares for little else aside from money and personal gain. It's easy to see how he could represent the sin of greed. Envy is a main feature of Plankton's personality. He envies the success of the Krusty Krab, while his own establishment, the Chum Bucket, is failing. There is an ongoing joke on the show that SpongeBob can't forget to feed Gary, and is often on his way to feed the snail when leaving the scene. Gary even ran away from home once because SpongeBob forgot to feed him. Like any Texan, Sandy is as proud can be. She is not only proud of herself and where she's from, but she's also proud that she's a mammal and a land creature. Finally, we're left with lust. The theory argues that SpongeBob himself represents this sin as he demonstrates excessive love for others. Perhaps this theory is nothing more than that, a theory. Or maybe there is more to the denizens of Bikini Bottom than meets the eye. Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Everyone's 3 favorite cul-de-sac residents have a dark and disturbing story to tell. One fan theory is that the children, who all live in a seemingly endless summer, stuck in a small area, are all in purgatory. Not only do the children have blue tongues, a real-life effect of death on the body, but it's also hard to determine what time period the show takes place in. There are very few adults present in any episode, and they only appear briefly when they're on screen. There are even theories as to the time and causes of the characters' demise. Rolf's family owned a farm in Peach Creek and was trampled by farm animals, which is why he owns them in the show. Johnny 2x4 had only his created friend Plank in life and carries him in the afterlife in the cul-de-sac. Eddie, it's assumed, died fleeing neighborhood children that he had swindled, and Ed and his sister Sarah passed away in a car accident after their father passed away in World War II. And Double D is guessed to have been born in the 1980s to strict parents who pushed him to succeed and passed away in a Bunsen burner accident. Naz was born in the 1960s to hippie parents, explaining her eccentric personality. The Cankers are a unique feature in this fan theory. They have pink tongues, implying that they are still alive. Some theorize that they are living but can see the spirits around them, while others claim that they are actually demons. Aladdin. This Arabian adventure set among swirling dunes seems like a window into the past for many viewers, but some deep-thinking fans believe Aladdin actually takes place in the distant future, after an apocalyptic event. When we first meet Genie, he claims to have been trapped in a lamp for 10,000 years. During the makeover scene in which Genie transformed Aladdin into Prince Ali, he calls Aladdin's fez
much too 3rd century.
If Genie had been trapped for 10,000 years, he couldn't have known what 3rd century fashion looked like, unless the film takes place in the year 10,300 at the earliest. Genie also impersonates many 20th century personalities, pushing the date back even further, meaning that Aladdin really takes place after the year 11,970. If Aladdin really is set in a post-apocalyptic world, that would mean magic carpet is actually a long-lost piece of hover technology left behind in a fallout shelter, and Iago could be a mutant formed by exposure to radiation for generations. Even the name of the city-state, AGRABAH, seems to be a combination of the words Afghanistan, Egypt, and Arabia, as the true name and location of any civilization would mean little in this desert wasteland. This theory may have some holes, but it provides a fascinating twist on a beloved classic. The Magic School Bus and Captain Planet. These two shows seem to be worlds apart. One is about school children going on marvelous adventures with their wild-haired teacher in her magic school bus. The other is about 5 teenagers with the power to summon the ultimate hero of the natural world. These two may not be as unrelated as it seems, as one theory believes. As one theory believes that the children from the Magic School Bus grew up to be the teenagers in Captain Planet. This theory seems to have some weight, as all 5 characters are the exact same race and gender, while also sharing all of the same features such as hair color. If they are the same people, how did they get from one universe to the next? Fans guessed that the children were kidnapped by Gaia of the Captain Planet universe and transported to her island, where she masqueraded as their teacher, Miss Frizzle, and used the guise of a school bus wherein she installed in them a love of science and the natural world by taking them on incredible adventures. Not all of the classmates from Magic School Bus were chosen by Gaia. Phoebe, for example, was too hung up in the past, always talking about her old school. Hoggish Greedley and Dr. Blight were once Ralphie and Jeanette, but were driven mad by the cognitive dissonance of constant memories of another life. These shows are linked, either by this complex theory or by a truly incredible coincidence. Hey Arnold. When it comes to 90s cartoons, there is a no-fail formula. Write a group of friends who live on the same street into some preposterous scenarios and watch the ratings soar. Throw in some bizarre hairstyles and oddly shaped heads, and you just can't fail. Hey Arnold is a 90s favorite, with colorful characters, relatable struggles, and outlandish hijinks. The show focuses on Arnold and his 2 best friends, Benjamin and Gerald. There's a consciously minor character named Helga who bullies Arnold mercilessly to hide the fact that she's deeply in love with him. Many fans wonder if the show is actually about Helga, and if Arnold is only in the show because of her love for him. The theory is pretty strong, considering Helga is the only character who is deeply developed, faces deep personal issues, delivers long and serious monologues, and even the name of the show is a direct quote from The Heartstruck Girl. Helga is the only character whose personal life is delved into in real detail. Her mother is emotionally distant, and it's implied that she has an alcohol problem. Her father ignores her, and both parents unrealistically expect her to live up to her sister. Helga seems to have become so attached to Arnold because he was kind to her in kindergarten. The evidence is there to support that Helga is indeed the real focus of the show, whether it was intentional or not. The Little Mermaid, Tarzan, Tangled, and Frozen. Disney films may be the first thing that pops into people's heads when they think of cartoons, and fan theories about the Disney universe are in no short supply. Perhaps some of the most complicated theories involve crossovers between 2 or more films. One fan theory ties in The Little Mermaid, Tarzan, Tangled, and Frozen into one long, complicated history. In The Little Mermaid, Ariel has a collection of trinkets stored in a shipwreck that she spends her free time in. Many fans have surmised that this was the wreck that King Agnar and his pregnant wife, the Queen of Arendelle, had set sail on to a faraway kingdom to attend the wedding of Tangled, Rapunzel, and Eugene. The king and queen survived the shipwreck and found themselves stranded on an island, where they gave birth to their son Tarzan. Back at home, their 2 daughters Anna and Elsa of Frozen fame were left heartbroken orphans. Tarzan was also orphaned when a leopard killed the king and queen, leaving him to be adopted by a family of gorillas. There are theories that attach to and intertwine with this complex overlap of stories that go so far as to claim that Ariel is Hercules' cousin, and Captain Hook may have killed King Triton's wife. Disney may not have intentionally connected so many of their famous films, but fans have had no problem with finding coincidences on their own. Inspector Gadget. Everyone knows Inspector Gadget, the crime-fighting, accident-prone, semi-robotic detective. With him is always his sidekick, his super smart niece Penny, and her dog Brain. Penny and Brain are often the true heroes and save the inspector many times. Gadget has many enemies, but none are more infamous or central to the show as Dr. Claw. Claw is not only the head of the criminal organization MAD, but he's also featured in the show's intro. In this theory, Dr. Claw isn't just the main bad guy, he's the good guy too. Many speculate that the reason we never see Claw's face is because he's the real Inspector Gadget. The Gadget we see is actually a cyborg built by Penny after she believes her beloved uncle to have been killed by MAD operatives. Driving the tragedy further is the detail that Gadget was never actually killed. just severely maimed and driven insane. Seeing himself replaced by his beloved Penny's own invention drives him past his mental limits, and he begins trying to destroy the robotic copy of his former self, which explains why Penny is never involved as more than a bait. Could it be possible that Gadget is his own worst enemy? Could Penny really have built such an incredible machine? The explanation of Dr. Claw is really out there, but it may not be as crazy as it seems. Up. Pixar's Up is an award-winning tearjerker that evokes strong feelings about love, family, friendship, and death. The film begins with young Carl and focuses on his love of a famous explorer, Charles F. Muntz, and his interest in Muntz's work at Paradise Falls. A shy, quiet young Carl stumbles upon the talkative and adventurous Ellie in a rundown neighborhood house. Ellie is also obsessed with Paradise Falls and tells Carl she dreams of moving her clubhouse to a cliff overlooking the famous site. Carl and Ellie grew up together and eventually married, all the while continuing to plan their own Paradise Falls adventure. Their little family suffered many tragedies, and sadly, Ellie passed away before her big trip with Carl can happen. Carl hides out in the house after the death of his wife and refuses to face the changing world. He loses his home in court to make way for construction of more urban sprawl, and he concocts a wild plan to fly his house to Paradise Falls with an impossible number of helium balloons. Many fans theorize that it's at this point that Carl passes away, and the rest of the film is his trip to heaven. Compounding the striking sadness that Carl has passed away is the realization that if Carl is a spirit, his child travel companion Russell is surely a spirit as well. Russell even tells Carl when they first meet that he has to help him cross something, perhaps into the afterlife. Arthur. Arthur is a PBS Kids show with over 10 million global viewers. The show is based on the children's book series by the same name, which are written and directed by Mark Brown. The series follows the life and adventures of Arthur Reed, an 8-year-old anthropomorphic brown aardvark who is in the 3rd grade. Arthur lives in Elwood City with his parents, preschool-aged and infant sisters, and his dog Pal. Arthur has many friends and an extended family. The show was very educational and touched on topics like death, cancer, Asperger's syndrome, and asthma. There are several fan theories and suspected hidden messages in this seemingly positive show. Many postulate that Arthur is a human child who passed away in a tragic zoo accident and now lies in a coma, and that he now dreams that he and everyone he knows are now animals. Pal was his dog in his human life, who he lost shortly before he passed away. Fans have also noticed hidden Illuminati imagery in the background of several scenes, prompting many to ask if there is a deeper conspiracy behind the show and its message. A particularly interesting theory points out that non-sentient animals exist in Arthur's world alongside the anthropomorphic creatures. This leads to the idea that perhaps Arthur and the other citizens of Elwood City represent a new stage of evolution for many species. This children's show aimed at 4 to 8-year-olds certainly has just as many fan theories as any popular Disney film or cartoon aimed at older audiences. We hope these cartoon theories haven't ruined your childhood too much, but they've merely opened your eyes to new possibilities for your favorite childhood characters. Taking a deeper look at the familiar can often lead mind-blowing revelations. Be sure to like this video if you've learned something surprising about these classic cartoon characters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.